Hey there everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Touch Base. My name is Erin Witten, and today we'll be working off of last week's topic, which featured some multiple regression analysis by examining last year's 50 best pitchers in terms of a variety of statistical measures based off some multivariate stat methods. And we'll be showing you a new insight on exactly how to assess a pitcher's performance and how to gain a leg up in understanding who the best pitchers are. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, we firstly have to state how we chose the players that we did. The ensuing players were first sorted by lowest ERA, with the top 50 chosen, and all participants had to have pitched at least 90 innings in the 2018 season. So far, for the most part, our analysis today will be of last year's top premier starting pitchers in both leagues. The tools that we use to assess performance standards are two multivariate techniques: hierarchical clustering and principal components analysis. With clustering, we are able to group players together based off of similar statistics, precisely showing the tiers of pitchers, while principal components analysis helps to show over two dimensions, a combination of the most statistically most accomplished or best all-around pitchers, which would be our first principal component, versus their propensity to optimize lower home runs per 9 innings rates, but surrender higher amounts of walks allowed, which would be principal component 2. So it's pretty much a opportunity cost between these pitchers. It is possible to assess pitcher performance based on basic pitching statistics, such as the number of hits allowed and inherited runners scored. But here at Touch Base, we decided to delve deeper and look at how strikeouts per 9 innings, walks per 9 innings, batting average on balls and plays, and other variables listed on the screen here characterized a player's performance versus his competitors. These stats selected serve to take a more in-depth look at what really determines the skills of an MLB pitcher. So first up, the usage of clustering helped to define the grouping or tiers of pitchers shown on the screen here. Take a close look, as some results are expected, while others might be a bit baffling to you. The top tier of pitchers is comprised of Jacob deGrom, Chris Sale, Max Scherzer, and Justin Verlander, with this clustering having the highest strikeouts per 9, strikeouts to walks, strikeout percentage, walks and hits in innings pitched, left on base percentage, and ERA. This represents your true aces of the sport, this first tier. Blake Snell highlights the second cluster, with Aaron Nola leading the third, and so on, as there are 10 clusters or tiers of pitchers that we identified here. Corey Kluber and Clayton Kershaw are in the fifth tier, and this may be a bit surprising to some of you, but what is not surprising is that this tier appears to be and represents the most dominant of tiers in terms of preventing walks, or said differently, having pinpoint control. With the exception of Corey Kluber, every other pitcher issued less than 30 walks this past season in this fifth tier that we just discussed. For the most part, this list looks the part and represents a pretty decent and accurate and unbiased ranking. If you're prepping for your fantasy draft in the spring, this would surely be an exercise to perform in order to identify who the strikeout kings and who the control artists are. While there's sure to be some disagreement with these rankings, do remember that they are purely based off of the statistics chosen and listed in the previous slide, as well as only stats chosen from a 1-year period. Additional statistics used would surely change and alter the rank of pitchers. Lastly, we have essentially the same exact ranking of pitchers here, just shown in a 2-dimensional figure. By reducing the dimensionality, we are able to obtain 2 measures of player performance, or principal components. Component 1, along the x-axis, represents the general and overall skill of the player, while principal component 2, along the y-axis, represents each pitcher's ability to maximize efficiency in terms of allowing a low home runs per 9 rate, but surrendering a high walks per 9 rate. Roughly 66% of the variation in the data is explained by these 2 dimensions, with another 34% to be explained by the various other variables that we can use. Looking at the x-axis, it becomes obvious that our most talented pitchers are Chris Sale, Justin Verlander, Jacob deGrom, and Max Scherzer, as predicted using cluster analysis. The back-end pitchers appear to be John Gant and Carlos Martinez, with Mike Fiers, Jameson Taillon, and Charlie Morton covering the middle tier of pitchers. Along the y-axis, it is apparent that Carlos Martinez, Trevor Bauer, and Blake Snell are among the best pitchers in terms of keeping a low home runs per 9 rate, but alternatively having a high walks per 9 rate, while Mike Fiers and Sean Manaea both appear to have high home runs per 9 rates, but allow a very low amount of walks per 9 innings. This exercise serves to better distribute the knowledge of inside and peculiar pitching statistics, demonstrating who the best and the not so best pitchers of the last MLB season are. If you enjoyed today's video, please be on the lookout for future touch-based videos on Major League Baseball news in different statistical approaches. And check us out for the most up-to-date baseball information. My name is Erin Witten. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.